Wandsworth prison back in the news today because, Mark, what have we now learned?
Well, yes, a question to the Justice Minister from Dr Rosina Alan-Khan, the local MP in that area, about what the staffing levels were at Wandsworth Prison on the 6th of September, that day when Daniel Khalife disappeared from custody. And we're told, and it seems really quite shocking, that 80 members of staff did not show up for work that day. It equates to 39% of the workforce who didn't show up. 125 officers did show up, 61% of the workforce, to deal with just under 1,600 prisoners being held at Wandsworth at that time. Now, Damien Hinds, the Justice Minister, responding to that question, said that even at 39% staff absence on that day, it was not below the minimum threshold.
That's extraordinary,
that meant that the prison would be unsafe. He said that there were still prison officers on duty in the kitchen. Of course, Daniel Khalife worked in the prison kitchen. It was from the prison kitchen that he disappeared on that Wednesday morning. And also there were staff on duty in the gatehouse, the gatehouse being the crucial point where the vehicle is supposed to be checked, the underneath of the vehicle and things like that.
And the question there was, did they actually deploy these mirrors, on long handles to actually check underneath the vehicle? How comprehensive was that check? And now, obviously, if they know they were short-staffed, were any corners cut? So I guess this poses yet more questions.
Well, and also the fact that they were talking about possibly, this was heard in court, that bed sheets were used. How did he get them out of the prison? Well,
that's the allegation that will be put to his eventual trial if he pleads not guilty. The fact that bed sheets were used as makeshift straps underneath the lorry, and of course, separate to the criminal investigation is the inquiry into just what went wrong. And a key aspect of that inquiry will be to try to determine just what checks were undertaken, if any, by those prison officers, and did they carry out the proper physical checks on this food delivery lorry.
Is there also a suggestion that about the age of the prison staff, that a lot of them were actually or are actually quite young?
Well, that is a fact, yes, because what you've had in the prison service, just like in the police service, tens of thousands of people who've left the service in recent years, really after the austerity cuts of 2010, when significant numbers of people left the police and the prison service. And that's meant, even though now there is a recruitment drive to bolster those numbers again, the very experienced hands, many of them have gone, and you have much younger, inexperienced staff members. Whether that was a factor in the checks perhaps not being carried out to the extent that they should have been, clearly they weren't if they didn't discover Daniel Khalife underneath this vehicle. But what the reasoning behind that is, we've still got to establish.
Now, we've got this independent investigation. Keith Bristow, who is the former head of the National Crime Agency, is launching that. What specifically has gone on at Wandsworth? Is the suggestion that those who didn't turn up for work were calling in sick? Because clearly that's been something identified elsewhere in the prison service. Yeah,
well, we know from the Prison Officers Association that there are high absence rates because prison officers are under strength. They say that the conditions that they work in are appalling, and that has an effect on them, on their health, on their mental health. The level of prison violence and assaults against staff is high as well. So all that could feed in to a situation on the ground where you get high absence levels because people are just thoroughly fed up and not in the right mental space to be attending work. And if that is the case, then there are some serious questions, first for the governor and the management of that prison to answer, but then further up the chain for the Ministry of Defence, Ministry of Justice and the prison service to answer.
And again,
as well as the
there's
government.
Also the question about why he was in Wandsworth and not a Category A prison.
Well, that again is also subject of an urgent review. We know that 40 other people that were being held on remand at Wandsworth have now been moved out of that prison. A rapid assessment of their suitability to be in this Category B prison, which is then not a maximum security prison, has established that perhaps they should be in higher levels of security. And the government is also determining what the situation should be with terror prisoners right round the prison estate, because many of them are held in lower category prisons and maximum security prisons.